All right, so like I said, we're going to do the Quiz 2 study guide today. And just as a review, if you go to our webpage on Focus, which you get to by just clicking on geometry on your schedule on the main page of Focus, I put as much stuff as I can under this resources tab. So for today, what I would recommend that you do is just open this study guide, and you'll have the study guide on your screen, and you can just take notes as to how I solve the problems or how you're going to solve the problems. And then if you want to, after the fact, you can just reopen this study guide and work the problems on a separate sheet of paper. And then down here at the bottom are all the correct answers. So we're going to use this two ways. One, I'm going to show you how to do these problems. Two, you can use them as practice problems. And then you can also use your study guide on the quizzes on Fridays. Okay? So here we go with problem number 1. You're asked to find the length of AD. We're going from A right here to D. Some of you guys can do this your own way. One way to do it would be to say that from A, which is at -7, to 0 is 7 units. And then from 0 to point D, which is at 8, is 8 units. So AD would be equal to 7 plus 8, which is equal to 15. The mathematical rule for finding the distance on a number line is that distance is equal to the absolute value of the difference of the 2 points. So in this case, the distance would be equal to the absolute value of, we call it x sub 1 minus x sub 2. All right? So if we're trying to find the distance from A to D, we could say that AD is equal to the absolute value of the coordinate at point A, which is -7, minus the coordinate at point D, which is 8, and the absolute value of -7 minus 8 would be -15. And absolute value means, or absolute values are always positive. So the absolute value of -15 is positive 15. So there's 2 different ways you can do that problem, okay? All right, problem number 2. If E to F is 6, so EF right here, 6. E to G is 21. So here's your EG, from E all the way to G. That's 21. Find the value of FG. That's this yellow piece right here. So the sum of the 2 smaller pieces is equal to the entire length. So if we say 6 plus FG is equal to 21, and subtract 6 from each side, just go ahead. The FG falls down, and we're equal to 21 minus 6, which is 15. You add the 2 smaller pieces together to find the length of the entire segment. Problem number 3. E to F is 5x plus 15. F to G is 53. And E to G is 143. So all of this is 143. Find the value of x. We have to write an equation. Same concept applies. The sum of the two smaller segments are equal to the entire segment. So we're going to do 5x plus 15 plus 53 is equal to 143. You have to combine like terms here. So we're going to get 5x plus 15 plus 53 is 68. That's equal to 143. Going to subtract 68 from each side. This 5x falls down, and it's equal to 143 minus 68, which is 75. And then we're going to divide both sides by 5. So our x is equal to 15. The sum of the two pieces of the segment equals the entire length of the segment. All right, so again, problem number 4 is going to be the same concept with a little bit more work to do. E to f is 2x minus 12. F to g is 3x minus 15. And the entire piece is equal to 23. Now, we need to find x, e to f, and f to g. All right? So the first thing we're going to do is solve for x. So the sum of the two smaller pieces. So 2x plus 3x is 5x. Negative 12 minus 15 is negative 27. I've added those two pieces together and got 5x minus 27. And that's equal to 23. So add 27 to each side. We get a 5x that's equal to 50. And then divide by 5. So our x equals 10. There's the first part of the question. X is equal to 10. We need e to f. Well, EF is equal to 2 times x minus 12. So that's going to be 2 times 10 minus 12. 2 times 10 is 20. Minus 12 is 8. And then you can either subtract the 8 from the 23 to get FG, or you can just say that FG is equal to 3 times 10 minus 15. 3 times 10 is 30, minus 15 is 15. So there's your X, your EF, and your FG. All right, problem number 5. If Z is the midpoint All right, midpoint. Midpoint is the middle. Z is in the middle of R and T. Now, another way that you'll see this, these little marks on a segment are called tick marks. All right, tick marks mean the segments that are marked with one tick mark are equal to each other. And if Z is the midpoint, then RZ is equal to ZT. If Z is in the middle, then the two segments are equal to each other. You have to find X, RZ, and RT. Well, if RZ and R and ZT are equal to each other, how far is it from R to Z? If R to Z and Z to T are equal to each other, and Z to T is 24, how far is it from R to Z? 24. They're the same. So we're going to solve for X by saying 4X minus 28 is equal to 24. So we're going to add 28 to each side. Our 4X is equal to 24 plus 28. That's 52. Divide both sides by 4. And our X is equal to 13. So our X is equal to 13. R to Z. Z to T is 24, and they're the same as each other. So R to Z is 24. Okay, so RZ equals 24. Z to T equals 24. And how about R to T? RT is the whole segment, right? So that's the 24 times 2, which is 48. All right, problem number 8. Just a minute. What's that? Did I skip one?
Yeah.
I skipped 7? Boy, my yeah, my computer's messing up a little bit right here. We're on number 6, right?
Yep.
Okay. Ooh, let's see. I think I got some pages that are sliding for some reason. right, problem number 6. Which point is the midpoint of AE? So here's A, and here's E. All right, midpoint is the middle. So we can say that midpoint is equal to x sub 1 plus x sub 2 divided by 2. And when we're finding the midpoint on a coordinate plane, that gives you the middle of your x's, and y sub 1 plus y sub 2 divided by 2 gives you your y's. All right? So if you have to find an x and a y value on the coordinate plane, you're going to use this formula. If you're on a number line and you just need to find the middle, the midpoint, you add the two coordinates together and you divide them by 2. So you would take -6, you would add it to 8, and you divide it by 2. And -6 plus 8 is 2, and 2 divided by 2 equals 1. Now they're asking you which point is the midpoint of AE. So it's going to have a value of 1. So it's right here, isn't it? All right, it's point D. Point D is 7 units from E, and it's 7 units from A. So add the coordinates together and divide them by 2. All right, number 7 is very similar to that problem we did earlier. If T is the midpoint of SU, T's in the middle. So we put these tick marks on here. And that means that S to T is equal to T to U. If T is in the middle, then S to T is equal to T to U. So 9x is equal to 6x plus 30. Subtract 6x from each side. So 3x is equal to 30. Divide by 3. So we get an x that's equal to 10. So we need S to T. So S to T is equal to 9 times 10, which is 90. T to U, if S to T is 90, what's T to U? How far is it from T to U? 90. 90. We can do it mathematically as well. We can say that T to U is equal to 6 times 10 plus 30. And 60 plus 30 is 90. And then we need S to U, the entire segment. So SU equals 90 plus 90, which is 180. All right, we need to find the midpoint of P to Q. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the coordinates of P and Q. Okay? Point P is at -4, 6. -4 on the x-axis, 6 on the y-axis. Point Q is at, we got 5, 6, 7, 8 on the x-axis, and -5, -6 on the y-axis. So we're at 8, -6. this negative 4, 6, this is your x sub 1, y sub 1. The 8 and the negative 6, that's your x sub 2 and your y sub 2. So we're going to find the average of the x's and the average of the y's. So our midpoint is equal to the sum of the x's, negative 4 plus 8, divided by 2, and then the sum of the y's divided by 2. So 6 plus negative 6 divided by 2. So the coordinates of our midpoint are going to be at negative 4 plus 8 is 4 divided by 2. And 6 plus negative 6 is 0 divided by 2. So our midpoint is at 2, 0. And if you plotted that, you go to 2 on the x-axis is right here. There's your midpoint. All right, and we got one last problem to do here. You're asked to find the midpoint. Find the coordinates of the midpoint of the segment whose endpoints are. All right, so you don't even have to look at a graph now. Here's your x sub 1, y sub 1. And here's your x sub 2 and your y sub 2. So our midpoint is equal to 8 plus 6 divided by 2, 2 plus 10 divided by 2. So our midpoint is at 8 plus 6 is 14, divided by 2 is 7. 2 plus 10 is 12, divided by 2 is 6. So our midpoint is at 7, 6. So that completes your study guide for your quiz tomorrow. All right? Like I said, you can use your notes on the quiz.